Welcome to the pause for today. This afternoon, Ghana's economic woes deepening with labor agitations, business collapse, and exit of some businesses due to depreciation of the Ghanaian cedi. We hear from ISA, which is asking government to urgently deal with the free fall of the cedi. Also coming up, reports reaching Joy News indicate that scores of Ghanaians living in the United Kingdom are stranded and unable to leave their homes as anti-immigration protests across the UK turn violent. Plus, we'll hear from Nigerians in Ghana on development in their country as day 6 of the 10-day protest continues.
They are not happy. They are not happy about the economy of the country. So the president of the country have to do something about it.
All of these and more coming up here on The Pulse. This show is live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 125. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and on the myjoyonline.com for these and more. My name is Samuel Kojo-Braze, and as always, it's a pleasure for me to welcome you to The Pulse. Stay on. Let's start off from the United Kingdom because report reaching Joy News indicate that scores of Ghanaians in the UK are stranded and unable to leave their homes for fear of being attacked by anti-immigration protesters demonstrating across the United Kingdom. Over the past week, these protests have become increasingly volatile, with some demonstrators resorting to violent actions, including setting ablaze hotel buildings where asylum seekers are being housed. Joining me for more on this is Kofi Ritchie, who works with Rainbow Radio in London. Kofi, grateful for joining us here. Now, you are there, you've been witnessing what's happening. Give us a wrap of exactly what it is like now with these protests.
Thank you very much for having me on the program. Can you hear me?
Yes, exactly.
Brilliant. So we all know the genesis of whatever is going on in this country. Those who are not privy to it, it all started in the area of Scotland, where 3 children were gruesomely murdered. And after that, the English Defence League, a far-right organizational group that was set up in 2009, decided to remonstrate initially as a means of cautioning the government that enough is enough when it comes to immigration, upon realizing that the perpetrator has got links to a country called Rwanda of black descent. However, he was born in Cardiff. The news went viral, and there were so many speculations that this gentleman was more or less brainwashed. He was recruited into Islamic radicalism, and for that matter, he decided to take the lives of these innocent angels. The demonstration has actually reached a different level altogether, where police are struggling to combat the perpetrators as it stands. Their story, their main objective is for the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain under the leadership of Keir Starmer to put a hold on immigration, migrants traveling to this country, and also not to pamper other people of ethnic minority, and also some people who have got radical religious beliefs, and they are being specific Muslim. That is why they decided to set some mosques ablaze and fiercely decided to fight the police personnel. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of this country, chaired a Cobra meeting, and the development that's come out of it is that in as much as the police are getting overwhelmed with the presence of the far-right groups, that people profile them as the racist organization, and especially the introduction of the Reform Party, where that managed to amass 4.5 million votes, and also the British National Party, BNP, still in existence. They are fueling everything that's happening. Reports reaching me indicates that 38 cities in the United Kingdom, including London, is being targeted for a serious demonstration tomorrow. Yesterday, I managed to visit southern parts of London, where I joined some Ghanaians there. And I had a candid conversation with them, asking them their thoughts about whatever is happening. They said they are law-abiding citizens of this country, or they are law-abiding migrants in this country. They do pay or honor their tax obligations. They don't see any reason why one out of the millions, as a result of someone committing a heinous criminal activity, must affect each and every one. Yes, of course, they are in dilemma as to where the next attack will be coming from. Yes, of course, they are petrified. Yes, of course, they are extremely scared. But notwithstanding that, they said, regardless of whatever goes on, if the government fails to extinguish the tension as it stands, each and every Ghanaian is also willing to defend the family by hook or crook. So I asked them by saying that, can you comprehensively explain that to me? Most of them, the gentleman I did interview, the gentleman that I had a conversation with, they said, yes, we're going to arm ourselves as well. Yes, we are ready. Yes, we are prepared. But all things being equal, we're hoping as migrants and people of Ghanaian descent, where we believe in peace and tranquility, this will not get out of hands. This will not escalate to a different level. But we are ever ready to face them perpetrators. Parents are also telling me, I also did a kind of interview with some parents. They are also traumatized. Children are scared, children are afraid, children are vulnerable. The good thing is the school children are on holiday breaks, so no one has been, they've not been going out as expected. So that has actually calmed tensions down, and that has actually restored a bit of confidence in the hearts of the parents. But what they told me was that they are not going to allow their children to go even to the playground or socialize by any means, because they don't know where the next attack will be coming from, especially when we'll be expecting a very devastating, awful, ugly, unfortunate demonstration tomorrow. How do you call them? The British National Party, even though they've selected some areas in London, I am very, very skeptical that they will be probably approaching the likes of Brixton, the likes of North London, where it's more or less a cosmopolitan area, and that's full of ethnic minority people. A lot of Ghanaians do live in northern parts of London. A lot of Ghanaians do live in southern parts of London. And a lot of blacks, let me be a bit generic here, Jamaicans, brown people from the Asia continent, a lot of black people are in southern parts of London. And I can foresee something catastrophic happening if the government don't expedite action, facilitate one or two means by reinforcing the police force with the army. It will get to a different level altogether. I, as a member of the Inky fraternity, I do drive to work every single day, commuting about 45 miles every single day, one direction. And I don't really know, as I'm talking to you now, in Brighton, I don't really know who is going to attack me. So I will have no other option than to probably find myself some pepper spray or anything that I could use that to defend myself, because there's nothing indicating on the faces of once upon a time good people as to whether racial discriminations, hatred is harbored in him against members of the ethnic minority, the likes of myself. So we all have to be very, very careful at this point in time. There is absolute fear in the hearts of Ghanaians, in the hearts of the black people, in the hearts of the brown people, and I can see something chaotic developing out of that. Yesterday, the Muslim community also decided to face the English Defence League. So the Muslims in Birmingham decided to wield weapons, and they started chasing even journalists from the LBC, journalists from BBC, from the Sky News. So it is telling you something here that is getting out of hands. Police are being subjected to different categories of beatings. So far, about 400 arrests have been made. About 60 and over police personnel are being hospitalized as it stands, and a lot of casualties involved. Wow. Ghanaians are not too happy. But I don't think we have to sit down concerned for people to infringe on our rights, our fundamental human rights, including the freedom to move and move freely, or associate freely without any fear. So that is all I have for you for now. Any development, I'll do my possible best to reach out to Joy News.
Okay. So as we speak, have you had report of any Ghanaian who has been injured of a sort?
Not at the moment. I reached out to other friends, colleagues in the western part of London. I reached out to other colleagues in northern parts of London. South London is where I live, and I haven't received any negative report so far. Thanks be to God. But you never know. Tomorrow, they've actually targeted London. If you've actually read all the news stories that's been coming out vividly, you end up realizing everything is happening outskirts of London. So all the 4 countries in United Kingdom partially affected. Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and then England. But as it stands, the capital of England, we haven't experienced anything of that sort. But yes, they've signaled to all of us on a kind of encrypted platform, Telegram, and they've listed London to be one of the areas or cities that they'll be attacking tomorrow. So that tells you that most people belonging to the ethnic minority, just like what the Muslims also, how they demonstrated yesterday, will not sit down concerned. And I think each individual will be gearing up just to defend himself, herself, or defend the family, because we appear extremely vulnerable as it stands.
Okay. Now, you mentioned some casualties. None of them include people of African descent?
In Manchester, a black man was subjected to serious beatings. It was, we'll be looking about 10 white individuals and also men, let me be very specific, and also about 6 women. They subjected this gentleman to serious beatings at the watch of the police. The police tried to restore peace, but you could see that they were eager, desperate to hurt anybody who is not showcasing the white color. Apart from that, in Coventry, a report that reached me indicated that 2 women of black descent, they were also subjected to kind of humiliation and beatings. They had their children with them. That is why they've all decided to live a kind of solitude lifestyle as it stands. Each of everyone, they've decided to stay indoors. Now, you go to London, you go to an area like South London, where I know a lot about, you will hardly see women outside, especially black women or Asian women outside. The only few that you come across are the bold and courageous black men who are still willing to live their lives as normal.
Okay. Now, have you heard anything about government trying to protect their citizens? I mean, when things like that happen, you see or hear government trying to even evacuate their citizens from that country. Have you heard anything like that from any government around the world?
It has not actually reached that level yet, because Keir Starmer has actually reassured us that the armed forces, I mean, he's been specific, the army will be sent out to serve as a backbone to the forces on the ground. Notwithstanding that, other countries, the likes of Germany, some European countries have actually cautioned their citizens not to travel to the United Kingdom as it stands. But when it comes to requesting for them to come back to their respective countries, I haven't come across that news yet. I'm at Brighton at the moment, and if I have to turn the camera, there is absolute peace here. I've been walking on the principal streets. I've come across some black ladies who are working. I've come across some black men who are also working, but it doesn't look like it has reached here yet. But you never know. Tomorrow is another day, considering 38 cities been earmarked for that awful demonstration to happen.
Okay. Which means that the videos that we're watching now are from other parts of the UK, not London, to be specific.
Correct, exactly. Not London, but we are in the list. That was intercepted by the police and other media organizations because that platform is encrypted. But notwithstanding that, they managed to penetrate that. And for that, we have been reliably informed that there is going to be something happening in the United Kingdom of Great Britain, England, and specifically London, Essex, Merseyside. There's been selected areas, and we're looking at 38 cities will be affected. So who knows? We're hoping that they will not end up knocking at our doors. But as I said right from the onset, Ghanaians are ever willing to also meet them an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And also the Jamaicans and other ethnic minority members are eager to defend their families. And if it will even go to the extent of jeopardizing their own lives, they are willing to do that. So it looks like it's going to be a clash of the titans. It looks like if the government doesn't intercede, if the government doesn't restore peace and tranquility, if the government doesn't expedite actions and facilitate one or two things, then there will be serious chaos and mayhem in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and London. Okay,
so you mentioned that once that message was intercepted, the Prime Minister has said the military will augment the police to defend this. But have you, once you're working on the street of London, have you seen anything like the security preparing to forestall whatever the protesters have in place for London and the other parts tomorrow?
The police, they've assured us that they have adequate intelligence and they are ever willing. The mayors in other areas, they've also reassured inhabitants or the citizens there or the people in this country, regardless whether you are legal or illegal. And they've really assured us that there will be peace and tranquility, and they're ever willing to move and diffuse any tension that will possibly arise. So that is what we're hoping for. We're all looking up to the law enforcers. We're all looking up to the Prime Minister. We're all looking up to our security apparatus and personnel. And if they actually intercede or come in at the appropriate time, then obviously I can see that there will be peace once again restored. But if they sit out like basically an unconcerned, then we will have no choice, we will have no option than to take the law into our own hands.
Well, let's see how it goes. But we will be monitoring the situation from here in the capital of Ghana. And whatever happens, we would love to hear that. And we pray that the British Army and the Defence Forces are able to curtail whatever plans that the protesters have. Thank you so much, Kofi, for joining us here. And he works with Rainbow Radio in London. This is Still Pause. We'll have a lot to share with you, especially on the economy, where ISA is warning, is advising government to do all it can to ensure it arrests the depreciation of the city. But what are some of the recommendations they've shared? We'll have that and more here on the show right after this break. Stay with us. Well, welcome back. Let's do the economy now, because this afternoon the depreciation of the Ghanaian cedi has significantly worsened the country's economic woes, leading to labor agitations, the collapse of some businesses and the relocation of others to more business-friendly countries. Now, this is according to an assessment by the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA, on the 2024 mid-year budget review. Details of the report show that while the cedi has been stable over the past 3 months, or some weeks thereabout, there are still some areas that government needs to pay attention to. It has been the cedi has been more volatile in the first half of 2024 against major currencies compared to the same period in 2023. My colleague Isaac Kofi, who is with our research and data team here, joins me in studio with Mokofi. Tell us about the depreciation cedi and what ISA says about it.
Well, in terms of determining the strength of the local currency, there are always 3 major trading currencies that we try to peg the cedi's strength against. First one is the dominant one, which is the dollar. There's also the pound and the euro. Now, if you look into the ISA reports, all of these 3 major trading currencies, the cedi has lost significant components of its value against these currencies. If you take the dollar, for instance, 18.6% in the first half of the year, just first half of the year, the cedi has lost close to 19% of its value against the dollar. We're not even done with the year. So imagine that the second half of the year also follows the same trajectory. Then we're going to talk about some 40% reduction in the value of the cedi against the dollar. Now, we did some analysis depending on based on the data that ISA made available to us from 2022 to 2024. And if you look at the average depreciation of the local currency against the dollar on half-year basis, we are talking about 26% depreciation of the cedi against major trading currencies. Now, because of these huge depreciation figures, that is why ESA believes that you can then blame the exodus of businesses from the country and the poor performance of businesses and macroeconomic indicators performing worse in the first half of the year based on the performance of the cedi, because we know it's tied to so many things.
Well, the macro indicators aren't performing that day. We're told that we're making some gains.
Well, I mean, some gains, but you cannot compare it to, let's say, 4 years or 5 years ago, right after we've done the restructuring, the painful restructuring that we've done. Certain things are actually turning the corner, but it's not as they were, let's say, 5 years or 4 years ago. It's still, the economy is still taking time to heal. But one thing that in the economy's healing process, which is not really coming along, is the cedi. Now we know that previously, when you see the cedi depreciating by this significant component, the Bank of Ghana was allowed to come and do forex interventions. But now we are under an IMF program. They cannot take that unilateral decision because there are restrictions. They cannot come in to do the interventions like the way they did 2 years ago when we saw the dollar moving from 13 cedis to as high as 16 cedis. And by the time we were going to Christmas, November, December, it has fell from 16 cedis to 8 cedis, between 8 cedi and 7 cedi 50 pesos. That same cannot happen this year because of the limited forex intervention cap that has been placed on the Bank of Ghana as a result of our current IMF program. It is believed that allow the cedi to float and find its natural level. Many believe that the cedi's natural exchange is not the 7 cedis or 8 cedis. So allow the economy to find the natural position of the cedi, which many believe is around 19 cedis or even 18 cedis to the dollar, Kojo.
Interesting. Now, other people also believe that last time Bank of Ghana said they were going to crack down on people, who weren't authorized to deal in forex. I've heard someone say that we should restrict the easy access of people to the dollar.
I mean, dollar is a store of value. It's a currency. Why do you think people are going for it? Because they want value for their money. And anything that becomes a necessity, if you place restrictions, what happens is that people are going to do hoarding. And they will end up selling that commodity at a higher price. And that's what Ghanaians don't want to witness. We don't want to experience the black market expanding in a very short period of time. Now, if you look into the ESA report, this was one of the recommendations they made to the Bank of Ghana, that they should go ahead with the restrictions you spoke about and the identification process they are trying to introduce, which they believe that can help stabilize the cedi and also clamp down on the black market that's currently available in the system. But one thing is that it's a supply situation. We've always been saying this. The fact that demand always outstrips supply, that is the reason why we have sort of like a peculiar situation with the exchange rate in terms of the dollar. Once Bank of Ghana finds itself in a very good position to do most of the auction, especially taking a bigger portion of the whole pie, supplying dollars to pharmaceuticals, to BDCs who are bringing in oil and all of that, that burden will be eased, and other importers can possibly find ways and means to get money from the system. We spoke the last time about the advance payment threshold that has been increased from $50,000 now to $200,000. That's a good move by the Bank of Ghana. But that will also depend on the capacity of the Bank of Ghana to supply dollars to the importers.
So is that what ESA is asking government to do?
Yes, that's part of the recommendations that they are making to government. They believe that the current requirement that if you are going to do an exchange, you need an identification, go through a centralized procedure, data collection process, tracking and tracing. It's important in knowing the true state of the cedi, the local currency, and also helping to stabilize the currency against major
So
trading
they're urging government to do what it says it will do to check this.
Exactly.
Quite interesting. Let's broaden the conversation on this particular topic by bringing in an economist who is a professor of finance at the University of Ghana, Professor Godfred Bokking. Prof, I'm grateful to you for joining. We also have policy analyst Peter Tekpe, who is joining us via Zoom here. Peter, I'm grateful that you've joined. Now, you've listened to the recommendation by ESA, but first off, let's start from this. What do you think is the right way for us to tame the depreciating cedi?
The depreciation of the cedi is something that requires a deliberate government intervention or policy that is aggressive enough to reduce the demand for the dollars. Until that is done, there is no way we can reduce the depreciation. Because look, our currency is cedis. And the reason why people are looking for dollars is because they need dollars to transact business and mostly to import items. That is the main thing. And so until there's a deliberate policy from government to reduce the import of items such that it also reduce the demand, it's a simple logic. It's purely demand and supply. And so it doesn't matter that we are in IMF. Those who do import, who do business, they will still need USD. They will still need foreign currency. And our situation is worse now because we going to the Eurobond market, we are close. In fact, one of the main, supply or one of the main sources of inflow of foreign currency is when government goes to the Eurobond market to go and borrow. Apart from that, we have the foreign direct investment. And we are not even able to track the others. And so mainly they depend on foreign inflow from Eurobond. So because we are shut to that market, we are facing these consequences now because we still import the oil, petroleum product we still have to import. We still import the various food items we still have to import. And all of it, we need these foreign currencies to be able to bring them. So for us to solve the problem, we need a deliberate policy that will reduce the demand for the currency. Once the demand is reduced, then it will no more become attractive for people to go in for the USD. Because the businessman or the businesswoman is not interested in depreciation percentage figures. Because he doesn't care. What he's interested in is that, what is the rate now? If it is from 7 and it went to 15, if it is from 10 and it's going to 16 now, that is where the businessman interest is, and not whether it is stable. If it is stable and it's still at 15 plus, for him or the businessman or businesswoman, it's still high. These are practical, basic issues that we need to address, and not talking about it is stable now and so we are okay. No, the businessman knows that he needs about 15 to 16 cedis to be able to get $1, over 20 cedis to be able to get £1. What about the rest? That is what the businessman is interested in. So it requires a deliberate policy to reduce the demand for the foreign currency, and that is what government needs to do.
So you also do agree that this could be the reason why many companies are leaving the country?
Well, it's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons. One of the reasons because there are several factors that makes people see your country as very conducive for doing business. One of them is a political environment. Ghana has a very stable political environment. But the businessman or businesswoman has come to make investment in order to make profit. That is his bottom line. And so if there are conditions that are not making him make profit, cost of doing business, one of the reasons, is high. He brings in products. He pays high duty at the port. The same person, he produces, and then when he wants to sell, there's over 21% VAT tax is adding to it. And then you have another situation where people are using illegal means to bring the same product that this person is bringing through the port, and then he is selling it even cheaper than his cost of production. And so what option does he have? So for instance, there's a policy that oil, vegetable oil, for instance, should not come through the land borders. It's only by sea. But in a case where you have a lot of oil, like the recent joint news expose, where you have a lot of it coming from the borders. Meanwhile, there's a policy that this should not come through the land borders. It should come through only by sea. But go to the market and see the vegetable oil that we have in the market. Majority of them. And so the one who has a factory, who is bringing in the product, who is producing, and he's paying huge taxes. This person comes in, doesn't pay any tax. So he ends up getting, even your cost is higher than his selling price. So what do? You definitely be forced to fold up and move out of the country. So there are several factors that are causing the businesses to move out of Ghana. And not only the currency depreciation, yes.
All right,
even though it's one of them.
Let me bring in Professor Bokpin here. Prof, you've said once that the fundamentals of the economy are to blame for the depreciation of the cedi. And this quote is from you. Says, It's the accumulation of policy failures and lack of vision that cluster at some point. So it's not like the city misbehaves on its own. It is the reflection of the fundamentals, and the fundamentals doesn't deteriorate in a week. It's the accumulation of policy failures over time, inaction, wrong action over time that manifest in the deteriorating of the fundamentals, unquote. Now, government and Bank of Ghana has brought out what they intend to do. They are now saying that if you are going to trade in forex, you need to go through a certain process. Is this part of the ways to check the depreciating cedi, or is this also part of the weakness in the policies that tend to then further lead to the depreciation of the cedi? So we'll bring back Professor Bokping. Unfortunately, we've lost him on the line, but we'll get him so that we can continue with this. But let me bring in Peter Tekpe again. Peter, so the Bank of Ghana last week announced several measures that they want to undertake to check the cedi. One of them is that if you want to engage in forex transaction, you need to go through several processes. Is this one of the ways to check the depreciating cedi, or this is just like scraping the surface of a wound?
What the measures the central bank is putting in place are not new measures. Apart from the new platform they want to create, there are no new measures to say you have to provide your ID. These are not new measures. You notice that over the years, when the city begins to depreciate at a certain level, then they tend to remind us of these policies, of these control measures that they have in place. Also, these are regulatory procedures or regulatory requirements that are already existing. They are not new. It is because we have not gotten the political will, to be able to go ahead and make sure that they are implemented and they remain. So what the central bank is doing is not the solution at all. Because see, those who have the dollars already have it. And if today, let's look at what is very practical. Let's compare it with whether what Bank of Ghana is doing will solve the problem or not. Today, you and I, if you need to buy dollars, you know where to get dollars to buy without even asking for even any ID card or whatever the process. It's just a matter of those who need the dollars. They just sit in their homes and they call. They know who to call and they'll bring the dollars to them. How does Bank of Ghana track this? The one who is on Okada, who is moving around, he has dollars on him. How does Bank of Ghana track that? So the forest bureaus are in their rooms, are on the road. How do you control that? So these are not solutions, practical solutions to reduce, to be able to tame the inflation. No, not at all. And so I think the Bank of Ghana needs to look at what actually are the causes of this. And I'm saying that if you bring out policy, let the policies work. If you have regulatory control, let the regulatory controls work. That people should not be pricing in dollars, for instance. Make sure that it works. Let it not come at a time, then when everything is okay, we go and relax. Then when things are getting bad, then we come back again to put it across again. No, these are ad hoc measures that will not solve the problem. And the solution we need to tame the depreciation of the cedi is not ad hoc. They are long-term solutions that needs to be permanent.
Okay. All right. Let me bring in Professor Bokping here. Prof, I was saying earlier that one of the things you've said about how the cedi depreciates is the failure of policy. And I wanted to find out from you whether or not one of the measures the Bank of Ghana wants to implement to check the depreciating cedi is the process someone has to go through to deal in forex now. And I'm asking whether this policy is part of those policy that which weakness, then lead to the depreciation, or this is quite a good policy that will check the depreciation?
Indeed, if you look at the policies they are putting in place, if we are not careful, we're rather going to make situations worse.
Okay, so Peter, I'm trying to bring in Professor Bokping, who is joining us on phone, and Prof has been speaking about depreciation. Prof, first off, what's your thought about the plan of the Bank of Ghana to check how the cedi depreciates in restricting how people deal in forex?
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to our cherished viewers and listeners. Yes, certainly, given the way there's been a little bit of a run on the cedi, the central bank has been concerned. At their last NPC meeting, the governor had indicated that they had put in place whatever measures, and they were not getting the result, given the negative sentiment and all of that. But clearly, black market has also played a role, and therefore we support them. We support them, and I think the earlier speaker was mentioning sustainability, because if you look at black market activities in Ghana, it didn't start today. It didn't start today. Look, when you go back to the late 70s and 80s, what we call forest bureaus today were actually black market in the late 70s and early 80s.
Okay.
To solve that problem, we decided to clothe them under the concept of forest bureaus so that they could be regulated as part of the former financial system. So that was our own way of dealing with the black market in the late 70s and early 80s. In our mind, we were eliminating black market, but what happened? Here we have them again. So the issue is the sustainability. But let me tell you, dealing with the black market will go beyond just the interventions from Bank of Ghana, because the black market is a former interface between the underground economy fueled by corruption and the former financial system. So they will need the necessary political backing. They will need all of us on board to be able to deal with the black market. Now, some of the measures that Bank of Ghana has also put in place have been a bit counterproductive, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Sometimes in their desire to formalize the former system by demanding Ghana card, restrictions and all of that, they actually provide oxygen to the black market to grow. That has also played a role, because the reality is that once, from a more fundamental point of view, we have failed in stabilizing the city, then merely clamp down on black market and all of them will not be sustainable. It may be observed more in breach than in compliance. Then again, you realize that when these measures begin to bite on the more equals, I'm saying they're more equal because we are all equal, but there are more equals in this country. The powers that be, when it begins to bite on them, they will prevail on the central bank, because the central bank was seriously dealing with the black market a couple of years ago. The question is, who advised them to stop? Why did they postpone it? Why are they coming back to it right now? So yes, we can make some progress by climbing down on the black market and all of that. But let's remember that that is not sufficient to address the more fundamental issue of dollar deficit in the system, weakening economic fundamentals, which has also happened at a time when we have elections and all of that. Let me ask you a question. Hello?
I'm here, Prof.
From the Afrobarometer survey, we are told that 9 out of every 10 Ghanaians believe that this economy is heading in the wrong direction. That is hard to deal with by merely dealing with black market. That is a confidence issue, right? So they don't even believe, majority of 90% of Ghanaians don't even believe that the economy is heading in the right direction. So for such people, they would do whatever that they have to insulate themselves from the harmful economic effects. And let me ask you, and go and check, in the last 3.5 years, there are powerful institutions in this country, including Bank of Ghana, that actively and consciously building their own economies independent of the general economy. So if you look at salary adjustment, if you look at allowances and all the largesse that come on, you can see that clearly institutions that have the economic fundamentals, that have the resources, are actually insulating themselves from the harmful general economy. That's what they are doing. Okay, so if you look at salary adjustment across certain state institutions, allowances and salary structure, clearly this is an economy within an economy.
Okay.
That's what is happening.
So I mean, on the plan of the BOG to restrict forex trade, you are saying that making people go with the Ghana card and all of that is like putting a burden on them, and that would for the black market.
What I'm saying is that we have to do it progressively.
Okay.
The more we want to do the more we are driving businesses underground. Remember that the cedi for some time now has ceased to perform a basic function as a store of value. So whilst we want to address it from this perspective, we're also looking at the more fundamental issues. Don't forget, in 2014, Bank of Ghana took a drastic decision to even now forex accounts. In 2014, we've had more draconian measures in this country and all of that, okay? Recently, there was a communication, and I told people that it wasn't true, that they were going to withhold people's dollar accounts and all of that. There is uncertainty in the system, and if we are not careful, it will drive more businesses underground.
Okay.
So the communication, the approach, it has to be progressive. Otherwise, we may end up with a zero-sum game, if not negative.
Interesting. So as we want to check the depreciation of the cedi, what are the right measures that government should be taking now at this point?
One, again, I'll go back to the Afro barometer. It's a confidence issue. Majority of Ghanaians don't believe that this economy is heading in the right direction. So they are taking measures individually, as a family, collectively, to insulate themselves. Given what has happened with the domestic debt scheme, look, and all that has happened with the situation of the currency, what we need to do now is a leadership that inspires confidence on the table.
Okay.
You will need that. Otherwise, it's going to be harder chasing people all over the place in the black market and the rest of them, because the reality on the ground is that there is very little confidence in this economy. Very little confidence in this economy. And that is a more fundamental issue. So you see that negative news, we studied this in empirical finance, right? So negative news exerts greater volatility in the market compared to positive news of the same magnitude. So consistently, what is coming out there is not positive news. If it is positive news, its impact is not as much as the negative news. And it's also an election year. Then again, look at it from a more fundamental point of view also. If you look at the IMF-supported program, by design, in itself tells you that the cedi will depreciate because this economy is worth over $75 billion. Okay, so for an economy that is worth over $75 billion, if you are designing a program for that economy, and all that the IMF is giving us is $3 billion over 3-year period, and then the World Bank is also giving us 1.6, and then release from external debt, is woefully inadequate to cushion the country in terms of our FX demand. That is the truth. That's the truth. And whilst we have a benchmark in terms of keeping our international reserves at a certain level of import cover, that also limits the hands of the central bank from intervening in the market in terms of selling dollars on its account to moderate the depreciation. So you have to look at it broadly and say that, no, let's prepare for a reasonable level of depreciation, because that is what is to be expected from the market. Otherwise, if they want to intervene in the market by selling dollars, speculators will come and swallow it.
So does it mean we should have done a better negotiation with the IMF?
It's common knowledge now that the deal we got in terms of the financing arrangement is woefully inadequate. The IMF knows. And that is why every program review is practically tied to progress that we make from our external debt restructuring. It's as simple as that. I think that the IMF should also look at its lending framework and the funds available for low-income developing countries. It's as simple as that.
There's an article on the IMF website, and it's talking about how developing countries can deal with, depreciating currencies. It says, given the significant role of fundamental drivers, the appropriate response is to allow the exchange rate to adjust while using monetary policy to keep inflation close to its target.
That is what I just told you, that from the IMF-supported program, a certain level of depreciation is to be expected. It's in the program. Yeah. The IMF favors flexible exchange rates. You can estimate your dollar gap, and you can see from that perspective. And if you want to keep supporting the cedi, you will bail it through your international reserves, and you'll be exposed.
Okay. which means that the ways that we are dealing with it now is not the right way to get us out of where we are. We need to then turn around and take a different approach.
All the available tools at the disposal of the central bank are being utilized. So from the last MPC meeting, one could conclude that it looks as though the central bank is trying to give up or something, because they've implemented whatever measures they considered appropriate, and yet the cedi is depreciating. Wow. Is that okay? That won't worry the IMF that much, okay? Because a certain level of depreciation is to be expected. You have to build your reserves to a certain level of import cover and the rest of them. Above all, you should remember that it's an election year. In an election year, there's a little bit of uncertainty in terms of how people want to commit to portfolio flows to this country. They are probably going to adopt the attitude of wait and see. Even in Ghana here, people have dollars stashed in their homes. Don't ask me for evidence. You know how people are building the bedroom economy, right? As politicians, top business people. Beyond that, if people were trading on their dollar account and there's secularity, you will see a relative stability with the cedi. But because of the election uncertainty, there's very little inspiring leadership in the country. Everybody is adopting the attitude of wait and see. Okay. And then also you see that the money market, right? The yield on treasury bill is not offsetting enough. So look at it this way. I mean, basic calculation. If from year to date, the cedi has depreciated by, let's say, 19%, okay, and the 91-day treasury bill is offering 24, 25, on the average, you'll be far better off if you had dollars, keep it and pray that the cedi depreciates rather than converting it to cedis and investing it in treasury bill. You end up with a negative sum game.
If I understand you, it means that the worst days are yet to come.
Well, there's considerable uncertainty ahead of us. Let's prepare for that. I think let's assure ourselves that the cedi will take some bite. It's part of the growth process. It's part of the stabilization we want to achieve, because whilst we are trying to build our reserves, we are mindful that if we want to intervene in terms of market support, we're going to deplete our international reserves, and we don't have that much. Is that okay? So let's accept it. Let Bank of Ghana also be consistent with some of their interventions in the market in dealing with the black market. It should not be a 9-day wonder. Okay. Let's also begin to see how government would also offer inspiring leadership on the table. It's not just the monetary side alone. We are also looking at maybe the fiscal side, and then how we manage the election. You know, and again here, my appeal will go to the Electoral Commission. We have to create reasonable predictability and certainty with how we are managing our election. Because it's not the first time Ghana is going into an election year. I mean, a couple of months ago, UK, they had their general election. I mean, and we didn't hear of ballot boxes being snatched. We didn't hear polling agents all over the place. So artificially, we create some kind of uncertainty which undermines the stability of the currency. So let's look at all these things, because it will not be the last election either. There should be some level of assurance and predictability of fair play, which allows people to even continue to run their business as though it's even not an election year. So that foreign investors, portfolio flows, foreign direct investment would equally operate without adopting the attitude of saying, let's wait and see. Or, you know, this country, they will kill each other. Let's see. If they finish the election and everything is okay, then they will move in. It happens.
It happens. Prof, stay with me. Let me bring in Peter Tekpe again. So Peter, listening to Prof, I'm becoming a bit scared that, you know, we are even in for the worst. How should government be dealing with this so that we minimize the impact it will have on citizens? You know that even in this current economy, people are struggling to afford 3 square meals a day. So if we are yet to experience the worst, how can government minimize the impact on all of us?
The sentiment by Prof, I think that, as he indicated, that we are all aware that the country, I mean, we are not in a good shape. And it is And so it is not more scary to people because people have become used to it. That's how come the Afrobarometer report is saying that's why you have 90% of people saying that, look, the economy is heading towards the right direction because they are not seeing the impact of what we are saying that the macro indicators are looking good. And so that as for the fear, is already there.
Okay.
What we need to do is how to manage the fear. And so if you are talking of what needs to be done to actually, bring this depreciation to a level that everybody will accept. Look, I indicated that what we need now is a practical way of dealing with the depreciation of the currency. We have gone past the situation where, for instance, we say we are going to fight black market, we are going to fight Forex Bureau. We have gone past that. We can't do that. We can't do that because they have outgrown. And so how do you fight them? You don't know where they are. So how do you even locate them and even fight them? Okay. So we cannot even but that's why I said that the measures the Bank of Ghana is putting in place are not practical measures that can solve the problem. It's rather put fear and panic in the system, and it will cause people to open Forex Bureau or currency exchange points in their homes and on the streets more. So what we need to do is to rather look at measures in terms of policy that will reduce the reliance on the foreign currency. And the central bank knows where the demand are going. He knows what is being imported into this country. The government knows what is being imported into the country and the forex that is needed for this. It is as simple as that because your currency is cedis. And if people are going for foreign currency, it means that there is something that is causing that currency to be attractive.
Okay.
And so you have to look at that and tackle that aspect. That is the only way. Other than that, the dollar will never go down. People will tell you that, look, it is 15 today. It will never go down to 1 cedi. It will continue going up. So it is becoming attractive. So we need to come up with deliberate policy, as I indicated, to solve that. Now, another one is that pricing of goods and services in this country, central bank needs to be tough on that policy.
Okay.
All rent have been priced in the US, have been priced in foreign currency. Look at the port. People are paying, and when they say that they pay cedi at the port, they are paying dollars at the port. It's just that it's being converted into cedis. So if at the beginning of the year, you brought in a cargo, for instance, that you are paying 100,000 cedis. If you bring the same cargo now, you pay almost 200,000 Ghana cedis. If you brought the same cargo 2 years ago, and you paid even 50,000 cedis, today you are going to pay 3 times the same cargo. Why? Because the duty at the port is being paid at the USD. Meanwhile, we are in Ghana. So, and all these things are leading to the increase in demand for the foreign currency because that is what is speculated. That is how the people are using to measure the currency. So, we need to come out with tough measures that will reduce, and these are the nitty-gritty aspects. You see, we are thinking that macroeconomic indicators, we are thinking that we have to bring a clamp down on Forex Bureau, and we think that is the solution. They know that the problem is at the ground. That is why what is at the top is not making impact. So you are saying that the dollar is stable, cedi is stable. How is it stable? Because you are at 15. So you think that it's been stable for some time now. To the businessman, to the businesswoman, or to the one on the ground, who is the one trading or dealing in this transaction, he says that at 15 to 15 plus, it's still high. And you are saying it's stable. So we need to look at what is practical and then address it from the bottom and not at the top.
But Peter, those who are managing the economy, those who are trying to deal with the depreciation, don't they know what you're saying? What is preventing them from doing what to really deal with the depreciation?
You are right. They know the problem and they know the solution. The challenge is that the solution to the problems will not inure to their benefit.
Okay.
So let me give you a practical example. Today, if you have $10,000 and you change it into cedis, this is just a practical example for you to know, and you are going to do election. If you change $10,000 into cedis, how much are you going to get? It's not over 150,000 cedis.
Yeah.
So if you are the politician, will you be happy if the dollar goes down to 8 cedis or 5 cedis?
So you're saying so Peter, what you're saying is that they are being deliberate about this.
They know the problem. They know the solution is deliberate. That's what I'm saying, that we need a deliberate policy to reduce the depreciation, because they know. That's why I'm giving you this practical example. Because they know that I have a tenure of 4 years. If I do things that will make somebody else come and benefit, and I will not benefit my time, what is the issue? That's what we need. This issue is about leadership. We need leaders who will be more focused on the Ghanaian economy than individual economy. And that is what is happening now. So if any decision you want to take, you and I don't come in. He looks at what is going to benefit from it.
Okay. All right, I'm grateful. Professor Bopping, before we go, Peter talked about that the fundamentals are looking good, but we don't. It's not, people are not feeling it. Why do we always say the fundamentals are good, but we can't feel it? What needs to be done so that the fundamentals looking good will translate into the pockets of the ordinary Ghanaian?
Inconsistency. Even though we are saying that the fundamentals are taking shape, they are not at the level where it will impact the ordinary Ghanaian. It's just like the way people are saying that, August looks like Ghana's winter. The weather is cold, but people's pockets are hot, right? So, and in Ghana, we know that, consistent in economics, prices are upwardly flexible and downwardly sticky. We do not expect that the city will recover its lost value to a certain level that perhaps we say is this. What is our inflation right now? It's 22.8%, right? Inflation in Cote d'Ivoire is less than 5%. Inflation in Burkina Faso, being ruled by a military leader, is less than 1%. It's less than 2%. And we are talking about Burkina Faso. And what is driving inflation down in Burkina Faso strongly has been food production. Check Ghana's food inflation, 24%. Yeah. So you cannot say this is macro level development that would impact Ghanaians. No, you come to think of it. If you are saying that prices on the average from June last year to June this year, prices have gone up on the average by 22.8%, you cannot call this stability. You can't call this stability. You can't call this stability when your monetary policy rate is 29%. The last time Bank of Ghana Policy Committee met, they kept the rate at 29%. You can't say this is stability. You can't say this is progress. Your Ghana reference rate is more than 27%. This is not stability. This is not progress. Ultimate lending rate is more than 30%. Come on, you can't say this is stability. So we have seen some progress, but we are not at the level where it will impact households and individuals and businesses. We are still not out of the woods yet. It's just that it was halftime and we claimed victory by saying we turned the corner. And as you can see, we've only turned one corner. There are several of them to be turned.
Well, quite interesting.
And finally, let me say this. Let me say this. This black market, if it were not benefiting powerful people in this country, it would have been eliminated long ago. It would have been eliminated long ago. This is sustained. Look, check our property industry, real estate. How come that this is a small economy? Look at people's income level. We are selling houses $1.3 million to $350,000. Do you know something? We have actually dollarized this economy. The only thing is that we don't want to make it official. That's all. We have dollarized the economy already.
So, Prof, you're also supporting that indeed, because people in authority are benefiting, they are intentionally looking on for us to suffer.
Will it surprise you if you find out that, don't ask me for evidence, will it surprise you if you find out that some of the black markets actually operate right in front of police stations? Will you be surprised?
I won't be.
Go and find out. You will be surprised. I'm telling you that any corrupt economy, must have an interface that connects with that corrupt underground economy and the former financial or the former economy. And that point of link or that channel of link is the black market. It's as simple as that. Let me tell you something. Do you know that as at now, Ghana, we don't have a serious consumer protection law as a country. Why has it taken that so long? It's very basic. Any country that is corrupt, where investors have to pay their way, politicians take commissions before they give approval, all of that. When they pay their way through that, they have to ensure that there's weak consumer protection mechanism so that they can charge whatever prices, whatever practices, and they get away with it. One of the things Ghana needs to do urgently is to pass the consumer protection bill. There's too much abuse in this country. It's more expensive living in this country than even Burkina Faso, than Cote d'Ivoire, than Kenya. Check food prices. Anybody at all can set up and charge any price in this country. And the consumer is always paying. The average Ghanaian, we're always paying. Which country is that? How is that possible? Look at the level of profit some companies can make in this country. Come on. Okay? We can't do all of this and steadily expect that the city will just behave well on its own. Not at all. It will be as difficult as asking fish to climb a tree.
Prof, I'm grateful to you for your time this afternoon. Professor Godfred Bokpeng is Professor of Finance at the University of Ghana, and he's an economist as well. To you, Peter Tekpe, a policy analyst, I'm grateful as well that you could join us. This is a pause. Still to come here. It's been 3 years since the old Abgoshie onion market and scrapyard were cleared in a major demolition exercise to pave the way for a new redevelopment project. How far is that project traveling? We'll bring you more on that after the break. Please do stay. Welcome back to the Pulse on the Journey of Shadow. Now, it's been 3 years since the old Abgoshie onion market and scrap yard were cleared in a major demolition exercise to pave the way for a new redevelopment project. However, the ambitious plans for the 80-acre reclaimed land appears to have stalled, leaving the area in a state of uncertainty. I have more in our latest feature, Abgoshie, still a scrap yard.
The old Abgoshie onion market and scrapyard, once a bustling hub of activity, now lies in ruins. This site was demolished on July 1st, 2021, as part of the Let's Make Accra Work initiative led by the former Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Korte. But 3 years later, what has become of the land and the lives displaced?
Most of my friends have died. Overthinking has killed them. Most of them have taken to drugs, and a few others have gone mad. This is because they can no longer make ends meet and they feel like their lives are retrogressing. No job, no place to lay your head.
Yakubu is one of the victims of the demolition exercise. These scrap dealers maintain that they were not supposed to be parts of the demolition. The shock from the displacement has driven many of Yakubu's friends to madness.
Because only baby aboko and a toilet and a wawa. Now this place has been turned into refuse dump, a toilet for the community and breeding grounds for snake and other reptiles.
Abu shares the same sentiment. He too used to sell onions at the old onion market.
Omasai market ya affect. What I say? Yesika nyinashi.
We were all affected. All our money was lost in that demolition exercise. We are all broke now. I used to sell as much as 3,000 or 5,000 cedis in a week, but now I can barely make ends meet.
Bibu weighs in on the effects of the demolition exercise, and like Yakubu and Abu, his life has been turned upside down.
I just come and sit down. We are here before. One day to cycle to Kotoku and Dominasi.
Were you an onion seller?
Yes, I'm an onion seller before, okay. But now I have nothing to do. But before the time we was here, I have fiscal money to send money to Niger and buy onions and sell it. But now we can't do it. We are always sitting down. The small money that I have, I used to buy motorbike and use it to do my rounds and look at my children and my wife. Money.
But before then, on the onion side, how much were you making?
Oh, I can make much money. I have much money that time because I have like 100,000 cedis.
What?
But now it can reach 330,000. It can reach it today. I'm telling you right. Because before I can use my money 3 million, 4 million sefa to Niger, Agadez, and buy onions and bring it to sell it. That time the transportation also is not going high. It's small, but now we can pay the transportation. I started to go 2-3 times and to Kotoku, and the money started going down when I stopped.
Why? What's wrong with Kotoku?
Kotoku, the customers have not come in there. We have so many Konkomba and Dogomba people at Abgoshie market here. They say they don't have a transportation to come there and buy onions and come back. So some of the customers today take the money, run away. We don't know why we can see them. So I come back to the Okada. Some say they want to build it to hospital and police station, but still we don't see anything here. There's only bola that bring it here. Then pull. Look at the back here. Oh, it's a bola. Even this morning I was sitting there where the car came, the bola. They throw the bola over there. The car moving there. There's nobody say something to them. But if they say we to come back, I would like it. I would like it.
As part of the redevelopment agenda, the government relocated these traders to Ajin Kotoku. But there too, there are issues. That is why a few of these traders have returned to Abgoshie. Salia is one of such traders who have returned.
The issues there at Ajin Kotoku are the reason I have returned. There are people who just want to buy 10 cedis or 5 cedis worth of onions. They cannot travel all the way to Ajin Kotoku for that. Same as if you are selling onions at different places in town. People will only go to the nearest available spot. Compared to when we were here, it was the go-to place for everyone in Accra to get affordable onions. The sad part is that the land is lying waste. There is nothing happening there. They could have at least waited till they were ready to use the place. Now, we are only surviving.
Onion market.
The scrap dealers still maintain that they were not pre-informed of the demolition exercise, as they were the most affected victims. Most of them were moved to Ajin Kotoku and Dominase, where they've been over the years. But some have found a different location for their trade, right here in Abgoshie.
Before Henry Korti took them away, the scrap dealers were protesting that they were not properly informed for them to follow the onion sellers to Ajin Kotoku and all that. So we have plans to come back. First of all, I need to engage these scrap dealers and let them know that where they are operating from is not the best. It is a typical eyesore. So when I come in, engage you and let you know that you were asked to move to Ajin Kotoku, and the fact that you have come back, it means that you want to be lawless. I'll do that sensitization and let you understand that the way you are going, it is not the right way to go. So when I'm coming the next time, I'll come with force.
The land was cleared, the people were pushed out, but Accra is still not working. So was this a wild goose chase?
So let's do election headquarters now. And as Ghana approaches the December 7 elections, the Peace Council is calling on political leaders to speak with decorum and respect. It comes on the back of concerns that political parties now use provocative language and personal attacks on the campaign trail, which incites party faithfuls and threaten the peace and stability of the electoral process. Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, chairman of the National Peace Council, stressed the importance of positive and responsible communication earlier on his desk.
I think that so far it's good, it's competition, and therefore we expect that once you get into competition, everybody is trying to win the attention of the other. The most important thing is for us to compete and campaign with the intention that we want to keep the peace and the stability of this country. It will be a disaster to win elections only to realize that the country is in chaos. You can't govern once the country is in chaos. So our appeal to all political actors is that let's campaign, yes, let's compete, yes, but be mindful of the fact that at the end of the day, the country must be peaceful. And as I said earlier on, the use of political violence is meant to manipulate a system. And the public must understand that when all these things are being done, it is done for a reason. And until you understand how players use these things, you may not be able to appreciate it. One, you find the political violence is meant for exclusion. And exclusion in terms of candidates who are standing, it is meant to obstruct campaigning and campaign events. So you see various attacks, you see all kinds of things happening. It is meant also to bring misinformation and disinformation. So media institutions who try to bring the truth are attacked, civil societies are attacked, NGOs who come in. No, then also it creates a situation where people cannot easily make a choice because there's intimidation, there's coercion, there's displacement of voters. And then also it manipulates the victory system. At the end of the day, why are people attacking ballot boxes? Why are they doing all of those? All of these things are being done so that one party will be at disadvantage. Well, in terms of challenge, major challenge is the need for resource because the work is enormous and all Ghanaians are piling a lot more pressure on us. Whilst we are dealing with the challenges of electoral violence and the challenges of our election, it's important also to place on record that currently we have about 703 different cases that are on the table of the Peace Council across the country, spanning chieftaincy, land litigation, resource conflict, religious conflicts, and several others. So we need a lot more resource to do all of these things. Some of our regions don't even have vehicles. The new regional centers that we have opened don't even have vehicles. They don't have the means to do the work. And yet, within the constraints, we are supposed to do this. We launched the National Peace Fund, and we didn't get the response as we expected. But Ghanaians must understand that in the context of peace, that we can go about our normal businesses. It's the context of peace that market women can go to the market and our students can go to school and all others.
Well, as we inch closer to the December 7, 2024 polls, all the political parties and candidates are busy crisscrossing the country to sell their messages to the people of Ghana. This year's election has been touted as one that will be keenly contested because of the stakes at play. Let's start from the Upper East region, where some electorates say jobs, dams, good roads, and health infrastructure are among what will determine their choice that they make in December. In an interview with Joe News, they said these are basic necessities of life that successive governments have often neglected. Maxwell Agbagba is on tour with the NDC flag bearer John Mahama and joins us live from there. Max, where are you currently and what's happening?
Well, we are currently in the Busa South constituency. The NDC flag bearer John Mahama just finished interacting with chiefs, opinion leaders, and residents of Fumbisi. They just finished that interaction at the Church of Pentecost Central Assembly. Just about now, the Member of Parliament for Busa South constituency, Clement Park, just finished addressing the crowd. He's about to introduce the NDC flag bearer John Mahama, who will be speaking shortly. We'll be hearing from him, but I have some first-time voters here at the rally ground. We want to hear from them what will inform their choice in this year's elections, in this December elections. Let's speak to them quickly before we hear from John Mahama. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Mavis Lamisi Sarifu.
Tell me, what will inform your choice in the December elections? You just turned 18, you're telling me.
We want him to help us in this our election that we have to vote. We want him to help us. The economy is hard for us, so we need his help. We want him to help us. We are suffering in this economy, so if he supports us, we will thank him so much. We'll be happy.
What about the Free Senior High School? He has been talking about empowering your headmasters to get food for you. As it stands right now, it's the National Food Buffer Stock that gets the food and then is given to you at school. John Mahama is saying that if he's elected, he would empower your headmasters to get the food for you. What do you make of that?
We are happy for that because we are suffering a lot in the school. Because the food stuff that they are giving to us in the school is no good. We are suffering a lot. But if he's ready to help us, we'll be happy for it.
If you are suffering, what exactly do you mean?
Through the food side. Sometimes, like, let me say 2 weeks now, we have been eating only rice. The food that they are even giving to us, we are not happy with it. But because we don't have it, because we don't have enough, we are managing with it like that.
Okay. So for you, that's what will inform your choice in the December?
Yeah, we want him to help us. We are suffering a lot.
Hi, what's your name?
Please, my name is Faith Ayambila.
Okay. You also just turned 18?
Yes.
And you'll be voting this year?
Yes.
What would inform your choice in this year's election?
I will vote for him as well.
Okay. Why him?
Because when he was in power, we can see the things he did. Yes. So I will vote for him.
Okay. Thank you for talking to us. You just had some students from Fumbisi Senior High School. They just turned 18, first-time voters, and they will be voting this year. But right about now, the NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, is speaking. So we want to turn attention to him right now and give you a good view of John Mahama on the stage right now, interacting with the hundreds of people who have gathered here, to listen to him. Earlier, he was in the Yagaba Kubari constituency, in the northeast region, where he interacted with some electorates. We've been engaging some of the electorates. Key amongst the issues that came up were issues of employment, dams, good roads, health infrastructure. But the issue of job came up strongly. In both the Bilsa South constituency, we've been interacting with electorates, and then the Yagaba Kubori constituency. He's not done. He'll be visiting 4 more other places before he wraps up his tour of the Upper East region.
You get the political power, and you get the money to go and buy your mother.
I'm by Alaya Nam, I'm Baba Mabadak, Albadak Dinla, Quarampom Mase, Amba Papa Mabada, Adbanyan Namo, Anyalira, Apaya Namo, Banyama, Allega Fenempa for Mawada, Atwasilini, Ataka Twasinamo, Agapai, Ampaya Jigsa, Atal Mokaru, from Venesia.
And so when NDC is in office, we do things that will benefit you, benefit your children and your grandchildren. And that is why when NDC is in office, we invest in electrification. We send electricity to communities. We invest in education. We remove schools under trees. We build secondary schools. We invest in hospitals, in healthcare. We invest in roads, we invest in water so that people can get good drinking water to drink. And that benefits not only you, it benefits your generations yet to come and yet unborn.
Anwa ta NDC teranta nam ajanamu po tinya polka tenantinya di atukuma man rubika mena data ale tupoba ale dorden yini dina buluswa te NDC anansonam tajari suina abasibolma pana kunga mena ase skuba anya tinenti nyadi atunubika mena anya fasia onyebuka azunchonga.
But what do the other people do? What do the other people do? They make you sweet promises that they don't intend to fulfill. One village, one dam. One district, one factory. $1 million per constituency per year. we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll give you phones and you pay one CD a month. We'll do, just promises.
Ang yakudema banyan tapen pas maja baranjam bajam pulini ngamba bade seba amba mbaganye bayemba balete kodia mena mori ang constituency mena bate felka linga $1 million ang ten mena district mena balise factory anda ngade bangwan wiekma amba leteni phones ba atinatuni a 1 city a 2 city amakula mena ba poingapo ba sebkuma anka venta.
And so elections have consequences. If you make a wrong choice, you have to live with it for 4 years. What our young people want today is not phones and pay 1 city. Our young people want jobs, because if they get jobs, they can buy their own phones.
Anwe tenati gaton benila bie tonka mena anyanta kuliba bie tonka me ferenkanton marsia felenya kunenang dila buluswa atitara njam tinyento nalnyini tanya yaka tilenti nyedi tukuma wa mena tilanti nyedila ale tinye kukeri titebas bimba ampaloko anya twimangsa atom da finin yen fitaba phone teba tuna 1 city a 2 city teba twima ateba tom baranya twimangsa tom badele nyalira ateba dada ba phone ba.
And so, even though NDC is known as the nation builder, because of our track record in infrastructure, we are not only going to do infrastructure. When we come, we'll continue the things that you need. I know that the road from BC to Kanjaga to Koninga has to be done. I know the road from Kumbisi to URC has to be done. I know the road from Sandema through from BC to VAC to WA has to be done. We know all those things should be done. I know that you need a tertiary educational institution here, because the whole of this area, there's no tertiary educational institution. I know you need that.
And wasabukuma to wagarungamena wasabukuma wabusabukuma NDC anyenda njambo parumpo ta gomska tenka atika yiri gomsi yirika ta kwaswina ase scuba ase asibitiba other light atikwajo na kungapo ama dakula nyini wasabukuma avranya takla glabulku yeninka de mena ta secondary school ba kuma ama tika school kwenwa tiba yente sharala kula mena wasabukuma na won parumunyin waranjamo wali tontene.
So we'll do all that for you. But in the next coming of NDC, our priority is jobs, jobs, and jobs.
Angamena tochila naranjitawa atode tinga gunwopo waranja woluton tene ama walu manchiela wodi alipodi chinkwankwan kale trima.
And so we know the potential of Bulsa South when it comes to food production. And so we're going to help the farmers by setting up a farmer service center. We're going to bring tractors, we're going to bring combine harvesters, we're going to bring plows, planters, fertilizer, weedicide, everything the farmers need.
Titwini apoten pare de la nyingla waranjamo won jankmat bajanla farmer service center kulan kuchinka center kui ate konkuta tractor ba ata combine ba ata fertilizer ata ngamba mena ate parma ayala table ku yeninka de.
And we're going to establish rice processing factory here in Busa South, so that when our farmers farm the rice, we will give them a minimum, we'll give them a minimum guaranteed price so that they don't lose. Because when the middlemen come to buy, you don't need to put that one on, it's loud enough. When the middlemen come to buy, they buy at a low price, but we'll give a minimum guaranteed price so that the farmers don't lose. So when they get all these services from the service center, they will go and sell their rice, and then they go back and pay the cost of the inputs. But the rice milling plant will buy the rice, and it will process it for the farmers. If you can market it yourself, you go and market it. I don't know what name we'll call it. Maybe we'll call it Fumbisi Special Rice. Every Fumbisi rice farmer will go and mill his rice. We'll put it in the same bag. Fumbisi Apak Special Rice. And then you know what we'll do? Government will buy all that rice, and we'll give the rice to our secondary schools to feed our children. We'll give the rice to our hospitals to feed our patients. We'll give the rice to our prisons to feed our prisoners, so that our farmers can get a market.
Ang waranjamo, won laka factory pyong at kwa firi muma. Da ngambate de womba se alege bamponde lala je pyong part bedet aranya ko feseba. Ah yes, teta factory. Ate bala kwa mwengala barankwa bataje lojini tbaga firi. At badang gomsngana nalnyini tengabo nga saches apo at bang marsinga zuk Fumbisi aromatic special rice. Yasidi Fumbisi Apak aromatic special rice. Ate mwenga te bamba firi la baran firi government wa aleda ayapa mwenga la a charité to school ma ate bisga danga de ala kwa kwamula banyanga ndita ade achak nanarsa towa.
We're also introducing the 24-hour economic policy so that businesses can work longer hours and employ more of our young people.
Awe wale nyuma wala wanyidi atabamba malibumba paloko atukula abak atagerung ajam.
And to have the 24-hour economic policy, we need safety and security. It means that we need more police officers, we need more prisons officers, we need more fire officers, immigration, customs. We estimate that we have to recruit at least 25,000 police officers. And we want to give all of you the opportunity. So we're not going to hide in secret and write names. We will come region by region so that all of you can get an opportunity if you want to work for the security services.
All right, so that was, the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, who's former president, campaigning there in Busa. Well, so this has been our show for you here on Joy News. My name is Samuel Kojo Braze. We have more news and information on, myjoyonline.com. When you go onto that platform now, there are a lot of stories being shared on that platform. Just go and read more. Well, we'll leave you in the hands of LTS. We'll have a show again, God willing, tomorrow. Until then, please be good.